Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another special edition of Khmer Times Cross Talk. Today is a special, I told you it's a special edition, and for the second time, we have in our studio Mr. W. Patrick Murphy, yes, U.S. Ambassador to the Kingdom of Cambodia. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for coming to our show for the second time, I believe. Yeah.
I'm very happy, Rinith, to be back on Cross Talk. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So personally, it is happy and sad for me. You know, we having one of the most outgoing ambassadors on our show, but now he really, outgoing. We had another definition with me, like he going to leave Cambodia soon after completing his term in Cambodia. So 5 years, I believe, right?
Just about 5 years, which is a long time for a diplomat, a U.S. ambassador. Normally, it's a 3-year mandate. But I've enjoyed double overtime, almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And I would just agree with you, Rinith, that it is bittersweet. The sweet part is I can reconnect with family and friends in my home in the United States, but the bitter part is saying goodbye to the Cambodian people in the Kingdom of Cambodia, which has a big part in my heart.
Yeah. So, Mr. Ambassador, in the past 5 years, I believe you have witnessed a lot of historical moments in Cambodia. You witnessed Cambodian hosting a SEA Games when it comes in sports sector, but then you also witnessed for the first time in over 30 years that Cambodian have the new head of the government, who is now Prime Minister Hun Sen. Now we're going to get that later. But first thing first. After 5 years, how do you sum up this experience?
Well, it's been a terrific experience. First, I love being a diplomat. I love representing my country, and I've been doing this for 32 years. This period here in the Kingdom of Cambodia has been very special. I'm blessed, of course, to be ambassador. I'm very fortunate to have a strong team at the U.S. Embassy with many different agencies and sections and employees, both Americans and Cambodians. And like you, there are many developments here during this period of time. Cambodia continues to change and evolve, and we congratulate the Cambodian people for hosting the Southeast Asian Games for the first time, but also chairing ASEAN for transitioning to a new government for the first time in nearly 40 years, and hosting my president, but navigating a global pandemic and other challenges. All of this has taken place during the 5-year period, so it's been a very busy, productive time.
Yes. I know this is going to be a very difficult question. What is your favorite memories? I mean, of course there must be more than one, but can you tell us some?
I have many great memories. I mean, that's the good news. I really leave with a volume of memories. Probably first and foremost is the Cambodian people. Mm-hmm. I've really enjoyed the people of this country and living and getting to know them, the diversity of the country. What a great privilege I had to travel to all 25 provinces many times, where we have programs and activities and assistance and partnerships. For me, that's been terrific. And as I've traveled to the provinces, real highlights have been discovering Cambodian food, cultural heritage, natural resources. I'm a great lover of the outdoors. So the rivers, lakes, mountains, beaches, forests, wildlife have really been enjoyable. I'm a great fan with my wife and family of hiking and running. And I think I've also had the chance to stay in good health by running in every province I visited as well. I think these are some among the many, many great memories I take home with me.
Yes. Diplomatically, what were your objectives, when you first came to Cambodia 5 years ago, and by now, how do you feel like your objective has been fulfilled, have been accomplished?
Well, I think like any diplomat, any ambassador, I certainly came with objectives.
Yeah.
And for me, when I arrived, we had been through a period, I think, of some challenges in the bilateral relationship. So there was an opportunity, perhaps, to take another tact. And my objective was that we could continue efforts to strengthen the friendship and the relations between our two countries and our two peoples, that we could talk frankly about areas of difference and perhaps make some progress on them, and that we could work together as two countries to address challenges that occur in the region and around the globe. And I leave feeling, I think, accomplished for me and my colleagues, that we made some good progress in many of those areas. We still have work to do, but I'm optimistic about the opportunities. But I'm also very pleased that the United States could be a part of many of the positive stories that took place in Cambodia. Navigating the pandemic as a model country, the most vaccinated, fastest vaccinated country really anywhere in the world. And we were a part of that story, donating vaccines, providing technical advice, 30 years of public health partnerships to create the foundation to work together. And as a result, Cambodians had a very low hospitalization rate, low mortality rate compared to the rest of the region and the globe. And like every country, took an economic hit, but we've been working together to recover and help Cambodians get back on track. The United States is the largest export market for Cambodia by far, 40% of all exports. That accounts for perhaps millions of jobs. And so we're part of the economic recovery story as well. Naturally, I wish I had more time to continue to work on the issues and challenges and opportunities, but my time has come, and I know others will carry forward to strengthen the relationship in the future as well.
So, I'm sure the U.S. has been a very great partner to Cambodia. But at the same time, as a diplomat, how do you feel about the foreign policy of Cambodia at the moment? I mean, of course, Cambodia has achieved a lot, being like hosting the ASEAN summit and stuff. But overall, how do you feel about Cambodian foreign policy so far?
Well, I think first it's important for me to reiterate that we respect Cambodia's independence and sovereignty. We were the first international partner to recognize an independent Cambodia in 1950. 3 years before you completed the process of independence. We're proud of that legacy and that history, despite some of the challenges over the intervening years. So Cambodia's foreign policy is a matter of the country's own choosing. I would say that the ASEAN chair year was an important success because there were some expectations that there might be struggles, but Cambodia did a good job and used its foreign policy to address some of the challenges of the day by opposing the illegal, unnecessary Russian invasion of Ukraine, by also trying to navigate a way forward for the crisis in Myanmar. Both of these issues have an impact on the region.
Yeah.
In the case of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, food insecurity, energy insecurity, challenges for the peace and stability of Europe. So Cambodia's principled position at the United Nations, co-sponsoring 3 resolutions, was really important. That created a welcoming platform for my president to come to Cambodia and engage with other world leaders in addressing that challenge. The same with Myanmar. Very challenging for the region. I will say this about Cambodia's foreign policy. Since the new government got started last August, my government has appreciated an improved tone, accessibility, openness to dialogue, and a desire for a better relationship with the United States. That's really important to hear, and I think that's helping us create the way forward in addressing a few issues that are holding the relationship perhaps back from its full potential. And this is a matter of foreign policy. For Cambodia now to be expressing a desire to have many partners, friendships with many countries, perhaps to invite more U.S. investment here in Cambodia, this is a good message for the United States, and I think it's creating more optimism for me personally, but also in Washington, D.C.
Yes. You speaking as a new head of the government, Prime Minister Hun Sen. I mean, you were here during the general election. We, saw him elected to be the new Prime Minister of Cambodia. I'm sure you met him. You had a meeting with him yesterday, right?
I did meet him.
Okay, right. What do you feel about him? Can you give us your opinion about our Prime Minister, our young Prime Minister?
Well, I'll say this. I really appreciate the Prime Minister's accessibility and availability. I've met with him a number of times, and of course I've known him for many years in his previous roles. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a good understanding and a good respect for each other. The foreign policy reflections I've offered have been under his leadership, and I think that's very important. Now, naturally, you mentioned the election last year, and we hear from Cambodian voices a desire for strong, competitive, multi-party elections. We had some observations last year that we hope that Cambodia can work on that in the future, and have many parties and have many voices. And I've expressed that desire with the Prime Minister. But fundamentally, I appreciate that he's available for a dialogue and desirous of this better relationship with the United States. As you and I think many Cambodians know, he's familiar with the United States. He studied in the United States. He knows our values, our principles, our offerings, our quality, the American spirit of generosity and partnership. Of course, he speaks for himself about his views towards the United States, but I think understanding us in a unique way can help create the basis for perhaps better relations and better cooperation going forward.
Okay. Going forward, big words, the big words going forward, I don't know what tomorrow, I don't even know what, gonna happen to me on Sunday or next week, Monday, but can you give us some advice, your comment on the Cambodian-US bilateral relation in order to improve this aspect, to make the two countries, the two nations even friendlier toward one another? What should be done?
Well, it's a good question, and I agree with you. The future is hard to predict. But I do emphasize that I am optimistic for these reasons. We have a good foundation of bilateral relations. Next year, we will celebrate the 75th anniversary of the establishment of our official relations. When I arrived, we celebrated the 70th anniversary, and that was a good platform for focusing on our cooperation. The United States is perhaps the largest traditional donor. We have contributed over $3 billion over the last 30 years, and we see the results. Cambodians are becoming more stable, more peaceful, more prosperous, living longer with greater health. And I'm proud that the United States has been part of that story. I talked about our trade, which continues to grow, and the potential for investment in both directions to expand as well. But here's my advice for better relations going forward. Americans are coming here in big numbers. In fact, in Siem Reap, the United States is the largest source of tourists right now outside the region. And Americans like to come here because they enjoy the Cambodian people, your magnificent cultural heritage, which we are helping to protect and preserve and bring artifacts back here. That's another good news story. But going forward, we have to sustain our cooperation. We cooperate very closely on law enforcement, protecting children, enforcing UN Security Council sanctions, trying to stop North Korea's nuclear missile pursuits. We cooperate on regional issues through ASEAN, through the Mekong River Commission, through the Mekong-US partnership. These are really important things to continue to work on. However, to reach maximum potential, what we hear from many, many voices is Cambodia can help by taking efforts to strengthen rule of law, continue fighting corruption, and also ensuring that all of the standards here are up to par with international standards when it comes to respecting human rights and democratic practices and principles. I think it's important. We've noted to the government that progress in those areas are going to help the Cambodian people, Cambodia's international standing, and the bilateral relationship. That's going to give us the basis to do much, much more together. And I'm hopeful that the government, but other stakeholders can address that. Because two other elements that are very positive in the relationship. In the United States, we have 300,000 Cambodian Americans. That helps the two countries know each other, particularly as these Cambodian Americans come back to Cambodia for business, to work, for tourism, to reconnect with their communities and their families. Those are great ties. The other positive aspect is in your own population, young people. More than 70% of Cambodia's population is under the age of 35. This is your future, and the future is now. And I count you as a young person, right? Young people can contribute to solutions for the challenges that we face today, whether it's the environment, whether it's sustainable development, whether it's stronger democracy. And young people have really impressed me here with their creativity, their innovation, their growing, expanding English language skills, and their desire to be connected with the rest of the world. Yes.
Yes, thank you, sir. I asked you this question twice, and I'm going to ask you again. Human trafficking. I mean, for 2 years in a row, the U.S. has placed Cambodia in Tier C when it comes to human trafficking. So what is going forward? What Cambodia should? How do you feel about this situation right now after 2-3 years already?
Well, trafficking is a global scourge. Frankly, it exists everywhere in the world, in every country, and even in the United States. But I think countries that are succeeding are making it a national priority and recognize that the human rights are being abused in the trafficking of persons, and that it has an impact on the rule of law, on the economy, on sustainable development. So for many reasons, we have to fix this challenge. Trafficking in persons is a big challenge here in this region, in Southeast Asia. And Cambodia is no exception. The government itself has acknowledged Cambodia used to be just a source of trafficking victims, and now it's also become a destination. Our encouragement for Cambodian stakeholders is to treat this seriously. It's a very big challenge, and to acknowledge that human beings are suffering and at stake. I think over the last couple of years we've seen the cyber scam centers get a lot of attention. Well, we want to make sure the information is correct and proper procedures are taken. Let's acknowledge, first of all, that these exist and that there are thousands of people who are being tricked into employment. There are thousands of victims of the fraudulent financial crimes that occur. That's the important thing. We want to help. We're not just here to criticize and point out the challenges and the problems, but we have programs to help victims, to help the process of public awareness of trafficking. And that's the advice that we give Cambodian stakeholders here. Please identify and protect victims and take measures to hold those who are facilitating trafficking responsible. People need to be rendered to justice at all levels, not just low levels. But if there are more senior people, business operators, government officials who are facilitating trafficking, the rule of law also needs to apply to them. Here's why it matters. Addressing and making progress on trafficking is going to help Cambodia's economy, Cambodia's people, Cambodia's rule of law, and the country's reputation. And that will be very beneficial to all Cambodian people and also the region and the world, because victims are coming from other countries. Victims of the fraudulent crimes are in my country. So we're very interested. We need to protect American citizens from these fraudulent crimes that is a multi-billion-dollar business. So I think that's where we are. The assessment every year on the tier ranking is an independent assessment in Washington.
Yeah.
But that's based on a lot of factual information and many sources. It is not a policy issue. It is not a matter of political bias. It's independent. And those reports are conducted on all countries around the world, including on the United States itself.
Of course, we talk a lot on progresses, what you have achieved during your mandate here in Cambodia. Do you have anything that you wish that you should have done by being here, but you did not get it done, but you wish you should have done here? Do you have anything like that?
Well, what I wish could be completed, I think, matches the aspirations of the Cambodian people. The good news is progress is being achieved. I look forward to the day where Cambodia can be landmine free. And the United States has been a real close partner. We're the number 1, number 2 largest donor on removing landmines. None of those landmines were U.S. in origin or from United States entities, but I think through our humanitarian assistance, we're helping make that progress, and that day will come. We've also been, I think, a close partner in helping to eliminate malaria and other infectious diseases, and there's been no malaria death for the last 6 years. And someday soon, I know that Cambodia will be able to declare the country, the kingdom, free of malaria. We also look forward to that day for making additional progress in eliminating HIV and tuberculosis, dengue, chikungunya, and U.S. public health agencies are partnering and have been for many, many decades. So I hope, naturally I hope to see those accomplishments while I'm here, but it's not based on one individual. The U.S. diplomatic relationship and U.S. embassy will continue to contribute to these efforts in Cambodia. I know we can do it because we cooperated together to navigate COVID, and we've made that progress. Naturally, I hope that these efforts to strengthen democracy and respect for human rights can continue. I'd love to see some individuals like Mr. Kem Sokha, our own U.S. Cambodian dual citizen, Sang Theory, freed, and that their civil liberties can be restored and they can contribute to Cambodia's political future. That would be great to see. I wish that had already happened, but I hope efforts to achieve that result are ultimately successful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, for coming to our show and speak out your mind. I have a question, but I would like you to spend like 1 minute to look at our camera and say what you want to our audience, to our Cambodian, to people around the world watching us. Yes, please.
I think it's important, and thank you very much for having me back on Cross Talk. That gives me an opportunity to share with the Cambodian people how important the media is. The media is a way to facilitate communication, to investigate, to hold public officials accountable, and we hope Crosstalk can be part of that story. But I encourage young people to consider journalism going forward. This is an important leg in the table of democracy. But I also want to say that Cambodia's cultural heritage is world famous. We've been delighted to contribute to the preservation and restoration of several ancient temples, helping educate and create public awareness. Also, we have an unusual bilateral agreement, the only one anywhere in the region, on cultural heritage protection that allows the return of looted artifacts that disappeared from Cambodia during conflict years to come back. And we've had several returns of those artifacts during my time here. Those were very happy, emotional days, because I know the Cambodian people view these artifacts as part of the heart and soul of the Kingdom of Cambodia. And I've been just personally so enriched being a part of that, partnering with the Minister of Culture and other entities. But here's my closing message. I am very fond of the Kingdom of Cambodia and especially its people. Thank you for your respect, your friendship. I congratulate you on your resilience, on overcoming many historic challenges, for growing your economy and becoming a stronger country. And I hope you view the United States as a reliable, strong, committed partner. You have made my time here a blessing, and it's pretty hard to leave, particularly after a long stretch. So I go home with a heavy heart. But I also want you to know that I'm going to continue to be a friend of the Kingdom of Cambodia and the Cambodian people. I've learned a lot here. There's lots of your culture that I can share with my fellow Americans. I can tell them stories of the opportunities here, the challenges, and how we're working together to address them. And I look forward to coming back someday in the future, frequently, I hope, as a private citizen, to catch up with friendships that we've made here and acquaintances, and to see how you're doing on some of these areas that we've worked together. But I'm really a blessed human being for having experienced this country for 5 years in person. And I've been associated with Cambodia professionally in other roles for many years, but the chance to live here. I hope that my replacement will get confirmed by the full Senate, and we'll have the next ambassador here. But in the meantime, we have a very talented embassy staff comprised of Americans and even a greater number of Cambodians who are going to continue working with you and on the relationship. I hope many Cambodians will have the opportunity to travel to the United States, whether it's for education, business, tourism. We have a lot to discover. So as Cambodians continue to prosper and can buy plane tickets and apply and get their visas from our embassy, I hope they will choose the United States as a destination. I can guarantee you'll be warmly welcomed. You'll have a good experience, because we know this. The number of Cambodians studying in the United States increased by 21% last year. The number of tourists going has increased. And everyone that participates in our youth exchange and educational exchange programs has a really good experience there. And I know other Cambodians will as well. So I hope you will have that blessed opportunity to travel and discover the rest of the world, including my country. To all Cambodians, I say Akun Janan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for this opportunity to talk to you, and we wish you all the best for future endeavor.
Thanks for having me on Cross Talk once again.
Yeah.
You get the last word because this is my final press interview, I think, in Cambodia.
That's my blessing, my true blessing. So that's it, folks. That's all for this episode. And again, we are saying goodbye to our beloved U.S. ambassador here. So thank you, wish you all the best, and sign off. See you next time. Bye bye.